And a pleasant good evening, everyone. I am Willie Martin, aka Mr. Will. Things are quiet right here, this moment at Amon Carter, but about an hour and a half ago, what you would have witnessed was absolute bedlam for a couple of reasons. An absolutely picture-perfect weather day here in Fort Worth, Texas, 76 degrees, a crowd of 47,003 something, a lot of it TCU, some Oklahoma representation as well. Fans got their money's worth with a great game in which TCU came out the victor by a score of 37-33. Back and forth this game would go. If you're a TCU fan, you have matched your win total from 2013. Now you go on to Baylor, and I'm willing to bet that that's where the game day crew of ESPN is going to be next week for a battle of 4-0 teams, first and foremost. Secondly, this is a very weird week in college football. It tends to happen. You have ranked teams losing. Numbers 2, 3, 4, and 6 all lost today. Oklahoma being number 3. Oregon number 2, they lost. A&M at number 6, they lost. And the number 4 team, whose name's escaping me right now, Alabama, they lost also. Interesting, that aspect of it. And I just felt, when I said that I thought TCU would win this game today, it would be because I thought that maybe a Kolby Listenbee might be a presence on the outer part of the offensive line that could create problems for the Oklahoma Sooners coming in this game today. It also marks the first time that Bob Stoops loses a game here in Fort Worth. He is now 5-1. Pretty even Steven statistically. First downs favored TCU 23-19. Net yards rushing, Oklahoma 152 to 151. Total yards passing, 318 to 309, advantage TCU. Total yards of offense, 8-yard differential, 469 to 461. Penalties did hurt TCU later on in the game, 12 for 90. Time of possession would also favor TCU by a count of, it favored OU, 31-37 and 28-23. Third down conversions, Oklahoma was 7 of 18, TCU 10 of 18. In the red zone, Oklahoma was 4 of 4, TCU went 3 of 4. We even saw Jaden Overcrom miss a field goal late. And the turning point of this game was a 47-yard interception by Paul Dawson that gave TCU a lead that broke a 31-all tie. And then on the ensuing extra point, that got blocked. And a kid named Zach Garcia, I believe, ran that back for 2 points for Oklahoma. 37-33 your final score. We heard from Gary Patterson. We heard from Chris Hackett. We heard from Paul Dawson. We heard from Trevon Boykin. We even heard from the big man Chucky Hunter. Everyone was happy. This field behind me was absolute bedlam and chaos as they counted down the minutes or the seconds. Great win. TCU remains undefeated at 4-0. Gary Patterson, matter of fact, just said, you know what, this is just one game. Bring on Baylor. We'll enjoy this for tonight, but tomorrow we got to think about Baylor. And they won by a very low score down in Austin, 28-7. Overall scoring was like this. TCU got on the board twice in the first quarter on a Cliff Murphy fumble recovery of a run-in by Boykin. That made it 7-0, 12 plays, 75 yards. It then became 14-0 when B.J. Catalan had himself a 7-yard run to complete a 65-yard drive. And then Samaje Perine would make one of 3 scores. This would be toward the end of period 1, a 1-yard run. That made it 14-7. They would then tie it with one play, 12 seconds elapsing. Shepard from Trevor Knight, 75 yards, tied at 14. B.J. Catalan, blown secondary coverage by Oklahoma, would find himself enjoying a 39-yard pass from Trevon Boykin after a shank of a punt by the Sooners. That put TCU ahead 21-14, and the game would end tied at the half, 24-24. You also had a Jaden Overcrom field goal, Samaje Perine run, and also a Michael Honeycutt field goal. It would then become 31-24 in the third period. Very first time that Oklahoma touched the ball. They would handle it for 11 plays, 80 yards, 5.5 minutes. Samaje Perine running the ball in, 31-24. It then became 31-all when Deontay Gray would catch a 29-yard pass from Trevon Boykin. That tied things up at 31 apiece. 10 plays, 73 yards for 2.5 minutes. And then the play of the day, Paul Dawson, 41-yard interception for a touchdown. The kick by Jaden Obercrom was blocked. Zach Sanchez runs it back for approximately a 2-point return, if you will. 37-33 was your final score. And the time of the game was a little under 4 hours. First half alone took 2 hours. Your leading rushers this game, receiving-wise, Shepard had 215 yards on 7 catches for Oklahoma. Trevor Knight, 14 of 35 with 2 interceptions for 309 yards. Trevon Boykin, very workmanlike, 20 of 38, 318 yards, 2 touchdowns, sacked twice. Your leading receivers, Kolby Listenbee, I told you so, Cedric, 5 for 103. Josh Doctson, 6 for 76. Deontay Gray, 3 for 52. And your leading receiver for Oklahoma, Shepard, 7 for 215. Your leading rushers today, Samaje Perine, 25 for 92. He only had 33 in the first half. He had 3 scores. Trevon Boykin, your leading rusher for TCU, 22 carries for 88 yards. BJ Catalon had 11 for 50 also. A very entertaining game. I agree with Coach Patterson. The fans got their money's worth. 47,000 strong, filled up Amon Carter Stadium. They see TCU match their win total for last year. Bob Stoops finally loses a game here in Fort Worth. He comes back next week for the Red River rivalry. TCU and myself go down to Waco next week for what should be a hell of a showdown with Baylor and TCU. I cannot wait. And this will conclude this evening here in Fort Worth, Texas. TCU victorious, some very happy fans. Read about it in your local paper on the internet. I am Willie Martin. Been hanging with Mr. Will. TCU 37-33. Next week, Waco, Texas. You and me. It's a date.